Flooding concerns now stretching across several states this evening. 8 major rivers nearing crest stage already swollen. And tonight, more drenching rain and severe weather on the way. In Maywood, Illinois, this was the picture through the windshield. Drivers faced with flash flooding, roadways suddenly disappearing. In Hanover Park, Illinois, entire neighborhoods surrounded by water there. And take a look at these images of Mount Rushmore. Obviously, you see the famous faces of the presidents there and the lightning flashes right behind them. And tonight, where they desperately need a break, there is more rain coming to Minneapolis, where that mudslide sheared away the land underneath the hospital. That hospital still standing. The forecast for the rain and possible tornadoes in a moment here. But first, ABC's Neil Karlinski outside Minneapolis tonight.
Along the Crow River in the town of Delano today, the water is reaching its peak, just barely protected by a freshly built dike. But some businesses on the wrong side of that barrier are now scrambling.
Yesterday morning we had, 40 or 50 people here that were just sandbagging because, as you can see, we're on the wrong side of the clay levee.
It's the smallest towns facing the biggest impact. In Chaska, the Minnesota River is choked with logs and getting higher.
That little shack over there, if you go down about 4 to 5 feet, there's a bench down there.
This, which looks like a pond, is actually the field where the state's high school baseball all-stars were supposed to play this weekend. That game had to be moved. It's been an unusually violent weekend of weather. Severe thunderstorms blew through Chicago overnight, bringing trees down on homes and wiping out power lines, even causing hundreds of delays at O'Hare Airport. Back in Minnesota, where they're living through the wettest first half of the year on record, they're still coping with a series of mudslides, a number of them keeping us from reaching the small town of Henderson. But it's a forecast of more rain that has them concerned, because this land of 10,000 lakes can't take much more. You can get a sense of the flooding along the Minnesota River here. Just look at what should be some stairs going down to the riverbank that's been covered in water. And then this, a huge cluster of trees that is wearing down the underside of the bridge over there. They are keeping their fingers crossed that the rain to come doesn't make things any worse. David?
Neil Karlinski tonight. Neil, thank you. More rain on the way, as Neil points out. Let's bring in WABC meteorologist Jeff Smith, who's been tracking this in the Weather Center tonight. And Jeff, you were telling me the next 24 hours are going to be really difficult here.
David, we're going to have thunderstorms moving over the same locations over and over again, and that will dump 2 to 3 inches additional rainfall and an axis extending from eastern Nebraska up through parts of Iowa and southeastern Minnesota, not too far from Minneapolis, St. Paul, locally over 3 inches with flash flooding in addition to the river flooding. And keep in mind, Minneapolis has had over twice the normal amount of rainfall so far this year.
Yeah, they can't catch a break. In the meantime, you're also tracking severe weather on the move as well.
Right, big thunderstorms going to be developing this evening from the high plains of Colorado through Kansas, northern Missouri, Iowa. We're talking damaging winds, large hail, and maybe even an isolated tornado or two.
All right, we'll be watching.